Shalom, my Israelite brothers and sisters. So first of all praises to our Elohim and to his holy son, Hamashiach. So we're going to be talking about Arsareth Is Not America. Now, I'm talking about this subject because it's very crucial that we understand something, brothers and sisters. That the camps that are pushing this fake European 12-tribe chart were saying that the 10 tribes are these Hispanics, these Mexicans, Puerto Ricans. That's a lie. And they've been doing this for a while. But here's the thing. Majority of the Hebrews who are waking up and that have been woken up don't even subscribe to that European chart. It's only the few Hebrews who subscribe to that European chart is because they want to justify marrying foreign women. And they've been lied to by their leaders. So this lesson is going to be directly to those Hebrews and camps who are teaching this fake European chart and still pushing it to their followers. Because we're going to get deep in the scriptures. We're going to go where they fail to go every time. They go to Ezra, 2nd Ezra chapter 13, and they start at verse 40 and stop. Y'all hear me? Stop at verse 46. But we're going to continue past 46 because the scriptures gives evidence that the 10 tribes went and crossed over the Euphrates into Africa. And it also gives an account of a lot of our people from the northern tribes coming back across the Euphrates, back into their land. And we're going to talk about that as well. So we're going to be talking about some very minute information and details. So by the will of the Most High, at the end of this lesson, your eyes are going to be open even more. And you see a lot of our brothers and sisters in these camps who are pushing this fake 12-tribe chart, they're waking up. They are waking up to the lies and the follies of what's going on. And they're seeing some of these camps that are pushing this stuff for what they are. And I'm going to tell you something. The Most High does not lie. And you got these few Hispanics and Mexicans in these camps believing that they're Israelites. Now, think about this. I want you to think about this for a minute. You look at all these Hebrew camps. Who are the majority of the people that are in these camps? They're mostly so-called black people, Hebrews. Now, when you look around, you're going to only see a few, just a smidget of these Hispanics. Why is that? I mean, that is no coincidence. That right there alone ought to tell you something. That should tell you right there that the Spirit of the Most High is not with these other nations. And we got to get that in our heads. And the scriptures are clear when it comes to that. So the Spirit of the Most High impressed me to do this because this is something that needs to be addressed. And like I said before, a lot of our people are waking up. They're starting to realize that this chart is bogus. And they're coming up on out of there. And, we can see the Spirit of the Most High working. What's done in darkness is going to come out to the light. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a few things, and then we're going to go deep into Ezra, chapter 13. And we're going to start from 40 all the way to 50. We're not going to stop at 46 like the camps do that want to support this European chart. We're going to go all the way so we can get a better understanding. And then after we read 2nd Ezra chapter 13, 40 through 50, I'm going to show you a clip from one of the West campers who admitted that this chart was bogus and that they knew from the very beginning what they were doing. This whole plot was all for this 501c3. Now, most of you already know what the 501c3 is, the tax deduction. But here's the thing with the 501c3. You cannot discriminate. And the only reason why it hadn't happened yet is because a lot of white people aren't thinking about coming into those Hebrew camps. But I guarantee you, if a white person were to go into one of those Hebrew camps and they turn them away, they could file charges against that camp. But see, a lot of folks don't know that. And that's why they had to add these Europeans so they can meet the qualifications of this 501c3. Now, I know IUIC for sure has Islam listed on their taxonomy. And you can go look up the report for yourself. They have Muslim listed as their taxonomy. And, y'all think this thing is a game. This is no game. And it is an abomination, brothers and sisters. Let me repeat that again. It is an abomination to give your heritage to another nation. It's very dangerous. I would challenge all of you to read the last 2 books of Ezra. And we're gonna go there after a while, because if you read the last 2 books of Ezra, they had to put away their wives, their heathen foreign wives, and the children that were born unto them. Now just imagine that our Hebrew brothers and sisters marrying these foreign women, building a relationship with them. Their kids grew up to be about 10, 12. Can you imagine how heartbroken that would be to find out that you had to put away your foreign wife and your child? That's a hard pill to swallow. But the Most High does not play around. The Most High says, do not mix your seed. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, because this thing is dangerous. And now these camps that are pushing this mess caused a lot of our people, our brothers and sisters, to marry these foreign heathens. Now they got children by them. And these children have grown up past 12 years old. I mean, these kids are up in age now where they've built a relationship with their parents. To find out that now you're going to have to put that foreign woman away along with that child. It's serious. The Most High does not change, and the Most High does not lie. So before we start getting into scriptures, let me just tell you where all this One West madness came from. So they believe the camps that are pushing this madness all the way back to Leroy Bivens. They believe that the 10 tribes literally crossed over the big body of waters, the ocean, and came all the way through a channel and came all the way to America. So they get the word Arsareth from Christopher Columbus, as they claim. There's a book called Christopher Columbus. They said that, and this was the big push, and this was the lie that was constantly going on, that Columbus mentioned Arsareth as America. But I'm going to prove to you that's a lie, because I have that book, and I'm going to show you that later. But Christopher Columbus did not even mention Arsareth, or Arsareth was not even mentioned in the book, not once. All the book said was Christopher Columbus was just fond of reading Ezra. That's it. That's it. So there were a lot of lies that were made up to bring in these foreign women. And these camp leaders who are pushing this mess, they know that, brothers and sisters. I'm telling you, don't let them fool you. They know that they've been lying. Now they've gone so far into it, they've misled so many people that they can't reverse it. But see, the Most High is going to punish them for that, because now they've caused a lot of our brothers and sisters into an abomination by taking these foreign women and these foreign men as the wife and the husband and causing all kind of chaos. This is what they did, all from following man. So this chart that they came up with, Ariel claimed he had a dream and came up with a chart saying that Ephraim are the Puerto Ricans, Manasseh are the Cubans, Simeon are the Dominicans, Guatemala, Panama, Zebulun, Gad is the Native Americans, and then Issachar are the Mexicans, and Naphtali are the Argentina and Chile. That is all a lie, brothers and sisters. That stuff was made up from Satan himself. Because I'm going to prove to you through scriptures that the northern tribe crossed over the Euphrates into Africa. And some of them actually came back across the Euphrates. And I'm going to show you in the scriptures. So you choose, saints. Are you going to follow the word of the Most High? Or are you going to follow some camps that are telling you that these people, these European heathens, are Israelites? And and I can't understand that to save my life. How you would deny your beautiful black chocolate sisters. And we got some of the most beautiful daughters of Zion in the world. No other race of women can compete with our women. But yet you want to give up our women, our beautiful black women, for these stink-back European heathens. Bad style. But yet you want to claim these people as Israelites. That's an abominable shame to go that low, to forfeit your own people and to give it to heathens. And it's already bad enough that we're catching hell from these heathen nations. And you want to turn around and give your heritage to them? But these are the lies that came from the One West camp who started all this mess. And it spread. And now the Most High is turning the tables because he has something for you wicked camps that are teaching this madness. Now we have our brothers and sisters, the Negroes, scattered to the four corners of the earth all over the world. And we're going to talk about that because we have Negroes in Mexico. And they don't look like no doggone wetbacks. We got Negroes in Puerto Rico. And they ain't European. We got Negroes in the Dominican Republic. We got Negroes all throughout Africa. We got Negroes in the Caribbean islands. We have Negroes in the Middle East. We have Negroes in China. Yes, China. We have Negroes all over the world. And the camps like to say, well, not everybody's going to look like Wesley Snipes. Well, of course not. You got different shades of blacks. But we're scattered all over the world. We're in every continent on the globe. And you take a really good look at this. These are our people scattered to the four corners of the earth. And these camp leaders who know, they know this. The ones who are pushing this European chart, they know the truth. But they've gone too far, brothers and sisters. And that's why they won't come out and admit it. Their pride. Pride is one of the worst things. It's one of the worst sins that the Most High hates. You cannot humble yourself with pride. Pride is going to destroy a lot of our people because they don't want to repent and turn back to the Almighty Yah. But they want to continue to push a lie and have people follow them. Have our sincere brothers and sisters continue to follow this lie. But see, the Most High is not going to allow the sincere brothers and sisters because I'm telling you, he is waking up a lot of our sincere brothers and sisters out of these camps that are pushing this madness. And they're waking up and they're losing a lot of members. I'm telling you, I'm seeing it time after time. And they better repent quick because time is running out. The Most High will have a distinguished people in these last days. Now, these camps like to say that's pushing this chart, well, it has nothing to do with skin color. Well, I'm going to tell you that's a lie too. And I say it does. The Most High, the word of the Most High say it does. Skin color and curses. Put the two together. And I'm going to prove that from scriptures. I'm going to prove it that color matters. Because when you talk about Europeans, how do you know a European is a European? By the color of their skin, their features. That's how you know. All right, let's take to the scriptures. Let's go to Isaiah 29 and verse 22. It says, therefore, thus saith Elohim, who redeemed Abraham concerning the house of Jacob. Jacob shall not now be ashamed, neither shall his face now wax pale. Now, I want you to do a study on that because you're going to have some Hebrews that's going to come and say, well, that's not talking about the color. It's talking about being afraid. No, You look that up. You look the Hebrew words up. Pale, wax. It's not talking about that. The Most High is saying that his seed is going to remain. His seed is going to remain forever. The Most High is going to have a distinguished looking people. You know, you got people who like to say, you got Hebrews that like to say, well, color don't matter. Well, why is it that only black folks, only the Hebrews, went through this slavery and still going through this hell today? You see these Mexicans going through all that hell? You see these Puerto Ricans, these European Puerto Ricans going through all this hell? Do you see any of these other heathen nations going through hell? No, they're not going through hell because they don't fit one curse. They don't fit none of them. Now let's look at another scripture. Let's look at Amos chapter 9 and verse 7. It says, "Are ye not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me?" He's making a comparison. Okay. What color are the Ethiopians? A lot of them are dark. If you look at a real Ethiopian, they're dark skinned. It says, "O children of Israel, saith Elohim, have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Caphtar, and the Syrians from Ker?" So the Most High is comparing us to the color of the Egyptians, making it plain that his people are Negroes, black. Don't worry, we're going to get in a little more about that because, you know, you got these Hebrews that want to constantly say color is not about the colors, it's about the curses. You're wrong. The Bible is telling you how his people are going to look in these last days. All right, saints, let's do a common sense test check here, okay? So look at this picture I got before you. Now, by looking at this man, you know for sure, off the back, you don't even have to guess that this man is Asian. Am I correct or wrong? So this man is Chinese, and most of you probably already figured that out already. But if you didn't know he was Chinese, at least you know that this man is Asian, whether he's Chinese or Japanese. You know by his features, the way he looks, and the color of his skin, all that combined together, you know what kind of nation this man is from. He's Asian. You can tell just by looking at it. You don't even got to guess it. You can just look at it and bam, it's just, okay, this guy's Asian. I know that for a fact. We definitely know he's not an Israelite. We definitely know he's not Negro. But we know he's an Asian. See, it's funny that we want to say, we got Hebrews that want to say it has nothing to do with color, but yet they can pick out any other nation. Now, I find that very interesting. Now, let's look at the next picture. Now, by looking at this next picture, you know that this woman is Hispanic. Now, you may be guessing maybe she's Mexican, maybe she's Puerto Rican, maybe she's Cuban. But you know that this woman is Hispanic just by looking at her. The features, her straight hair, the color of her skin. Okay? And by the way, this woman is actually Mexican. Now, Mexicans, did you know that Mexicans are three races? A Mexican is not even a race. They're like a poisonous weed that just sprung out of nowhere. They're a mixture of Europeans, Native Americans, and Asians. Go do the research for yourselves, brothers and sisters. That's what they are. They're not even a single race. They're a mixture of three races of nations. But yet, you got these camps who are pushing this European chart, calling these people Israelites, calling them Issachar, when Issachar is spread out throughout Africa. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have any Issachar here, but the scriptures don't lie. The Bible says that they crossed over the Euphrates. And I'm going to stick with what the word of the Most High says. I don't care what nobody says. I'm going to listen to Elohim and his word, not some stupid camps that are pushing this fake European chart. All right, let's look at another picture. Now, first off the bat, when you see this picture, you know this is a white boy. You know that he's European descent, whether he's from British, from France, from the UK, you know that he's European. Now, you might not be able to pick what country he's from, whether he's from America, but I guaranteed you, you know by looking at him, this man is European descent. Now, I've seen some Mexicans that are just as white as this dude. But yet, you got these camps that are pushing this European chart, calling these people Israelites. You see where I'm going with this, brothers and sisters? You see how stupid this chart is? When the word of the Most High is super clear on who his people are. So you can't go back and tell me that it doesn't have anything to do with color. Well, if that's the case, then hell, you might as well say everybody is Israelites. You might as well go pick every nation on the planet and say that they're Israelites. Because that's what you're saying when it doesn't have anything to do with color. You're saying that anybody can be an Israelite. See, the Most High says he would have a distinguished people in these last days. Isaiah 29:22. You look at our beautiful brothers and sisters who are catching the most hell. It is so-called black people. It ain't these Mexicans. They got restaurants all over the place. They got their own country. They got the drug cartels. It ain't the Puerto Ricans. It ain't none of these European people. And I already made it clear, brothers and sisters, that we have Negroes scattered in all those countries around the world. All right, so now let's look at our different shades of blacks, our so-called beautiful black people. Now, we have our people scattered to the four corners of the earth. And brothers and sisters, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know, okay, what color are black people? You know, and we know that there's different shades of blacks. And the Most High had it set up that way. And like I said before, the Most High is going to have and does have a distinguished looking people. So you know Yah's people by the color of their skin and the curses. Well, let me put the curses first because that's the biggest. Because no other nation fit these curses, and they just happen to be black people. You can't get around that. You cannot get around that. And you just have to accept it for what the word of the Most High says. And I don't care what you try to do. You cannot, if you're not a part of these curses, and you're not the chosen people, you cannot fit yourself into this Israelite calling, awakening. You cannot fit yourself because the Most High is not calling these other nations. If that's the case, then how come these Mexicans aren't doing videos and trying to wake people up and everything? Because they're not the people of the scriptures. They're not the chosen people. They're just like the rest of the heathens. Only the Negroes scattered to the four corners of the earth are Israelites. That's what the word of the Most High says. But you got these camps pushing this lie, pushing this European chart, causing our Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters to create a big abomination by marrying and taking on these heathens, allowing them in their midst. But let's see what TOBIT 4:12 says. Let's just see if they're really following the laws of the Most High, because these people, some of these Hebrew camps, they like to claim, well, we pushing the law, we keeping the law, but they're not keeping the law. They're breaking the biggest one by marrying and allowing these heathens in their midst and taking them as wives and husbands. Let's look at TOBIT 4:12. It says, beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of thy seed of thy fathers, and take not y'all hear this? Get ready, a strange woman to wife, which is not of thy father's tribe, for we are the children of the prophet. Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred, and were blessed in their children, and their seed shall inherit the land. And these camps that are pushing this fake European chart, they know the leaders, and they're misleading people. They are lying to people, and they're going to cause people to be destroyed. This is serious, brothers and sisters. This is nothing to play with. The biggest reason why our forefathers went into slavery in the first place was because our forefathers were going after these foreign women and their idols. No difference today with these rebellious camps that want to push this fake European chart, giving our heritage to other nations because they got a lust problem. They want to marry these foreign, stinking, heathen women. But yet they want to forfeit the beautiful daughters of Zion for these heathens. Yeah, I said it, and I'm going to keep on saying it. And I'm going to remind you, brothers and sisters, go back and read the last 2 books of Ezra, and you're going to see that they had to put away their foreign wives and the children that were born unto them. They're going to hear me keep repeating that because that's crucial. The Most High does not play around with this kind of stuff. So I want to go ahead and put out a disclaimer right now. So for those of you Hebrew campers that are pushing this chart and you think you want to come on my page and try to make accusations and try to justify marrying your foreign women, I'm not going to allow it because I'm going to eradicate you and I'm going to delete you. So just take that as practice of what's getting ready to come to you, because you've led so many people down the abominable road to perdition by causing our people to take on these foreign women and bringing these people into your midst and joining with them and worshiping their idols. You're going to die along with the heathens that you married and that you lied to. You're going to die along with them. Have you not been paying attention to what's been happening to our people who are married to these heathens? They call them swirlers. Yes, swirlers. And I truly believe that the judgment of the Most High hand is coming down on these swirlers, because the Most High doesn't play with that. And you got our black brothers and sisters strung up with these heathens. But you getting ready to see what's getting ready to come. You better wake up. You better wake up and wake up fast. Now, Saints, I'm going to tell you something that's really a trip. Now, these camps that are pushing this European chart, you know what they'll say? They'll have enough nerves to say, well, as long as they're Israel, you can marry them. And they got these Mexicans, right? They got these Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, and these Native Americans, these European people in their camps. And they're literally telling their followers, well, they're all Israel, so they can marry. It doesn't matter who they marry. They're not even following the laws. Yet, they're marrying heathens. I mean, that's a trip, y'all. Let me read this verse to you. Numbers 36:7. It says, so shall not the inheritance of the children of Israel remove from tribe to tribe. For every one of the children of Israel shall keep himself to the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. But yet these camps are claiming that it's okay to marry these Mexicans because they're classifying them as Issachar, which is a complete lie. These Europeans and these people are a trip, brothers and sisters. I'm telling you, this whole lie stems all the way back from One West. You see the damage they've done to our people? Got them even thinking that these people are Israelites. And even if they knew, they have no business marrying outside their tribes. But yet they got these heathens in there. I mean, they're so deceived. And I'm going to tell you why they're deceived. It's because they would rather listen to their elders, to their officers, than rather listen to the word of the Most High. That's that pride, brothers and sisters. I'm telling you, pride is what's going to destroy a lot of our people. Pride. Y'all remember that. Pride. I'm going to keep saying it. Pride. Pride. That's right. Pride is what's going to destroy our people in these camps, because They want to listen to what a man is saying, what a man has made up. Yeah, we're going to say that these wetback spics and all these other heathen nations are Israelites, so it's okay to marry them. You see how that goes against the word of the Most High? And these people are claiming that they keep the laws. They don't keep no laws. They don't even fear the Most High. They don't fear the Most High one iota. As a matter of fact, they hate their own people and they hate the Most High. Because if they truly love the Most High, they would get rid of these heathens, disseminate that chart, and repent. And stop trying to cheat their people out of money constantly. Because see, some of you don't really know the depths about these camps. Most of you watch these camps online and what have you. So you don't understand what goes on inside these camps because you've never been there before. I've been there, but you've never been there before. So you don't really know how they operate. So when you see them online, everything sounds and looks good from the outside. But you talk to a lot of them brothers that's been on the inside who has left. They'll tell you what it was like. They'll tell you the lies. They'll tell you the scams. You know, look at the guy who, the one who calls himself the comforter. He got arrested and he's probably going to be in jail for a long time. But yet you got people who still, after all that, who's going to believe him. His name is Tazadakia. That's what they call him. Calls himself a high priest. But yet, after all that, the people that follow him, they still going to follow him to the fire, no matter what. That's just how stupid our people are sometimes. You know, not all of them, just the ones who want to follow man. Their pride is going to destroy a lot of our people. All right, so this is where the rubber is going to meet the road. We're going to start getting into the book, second Ezra chapter 13. And we're going to get really deep because you're going to see that the northern tribe actually crossed over the Euphrates. And I'm going to show you proof through the scriptures they did not come over to America like these camps are pushing, the ones who are pushing this European chart. I'm telling y'all, this thing was made up, brothers and sisters, by a man to support heathen women, to bring in these Europeans to support their 501c3 because they cannot discriminate with that 501c3, but they don't tell you that. A white person can walk up in that camp and file a complaint, a lawsuit against them for discrimination. And it's coming. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. And they're going to have to face the music because they got that 501c3. All right, let's go over to 2nd Ezra chapter 13, and we're going to start with verse 40. Because what we want to do now is go all the way through 50. We're going to cover 40 through 50. So the Hebrews who are pushing this fake European chart to support these heathens, they always stop at verse 46. Now, it's key that you understand this, brothers and sisters, that the verses past 46, 47 through 50 is key to understanding that our forefathers crossed back over the Euphrates into their own land again. See, this is what a lot of these camps don't talk about. They always stop at verse 46 because they know the truth. These leaders of these camps who are pushing this mess, they know the truth. And I'm going to show you a video here shortly from a guy from one of the One West camps who admitted that this whole thing was a setup and it was fake. So let's go to 2nd Ezra. Let's look at verse 40. It says, "Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners." Now we confirm that they were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanassar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters. Now notice I got that highlighted, over the waters. And so came they into another land. All right, so let's go back and go over some things. Let's get a few things established here. So in the beginning of verse 40, it says, "Those are the 10 tribes which 10 tribes are they talking about? We're talking about the northern tribe, okay? The northern kingdom. Now, we confirm that. And we're going to prove that even further. Now, I want you to read the book of Hosea, but just hold that thought for a minute. We're going to get back to that. Let's look at carried away. According to the scriptures, they were carried away prisoners. By who? By Assyria. Now, I want you to go down where it says, and he carried them over the waters. Now, I want you to get something here. Now, there's a difference, a big difference between waters and sea. Now, this is what I want. This is what I want y'all to do for homework. So, do a comparison. All the verses that's dealing with water and all the verses that's dealing with seas. That'll be your homework assignment, and you're going to see that there's a big difference because, see, the camps who are pushing this fake chart use this very verse to say they came over the ocean, across the ocean and into America. But I'm going to prove to you through the scriptures, the same scriptures that they use to try to support this heathen chart, it's a lie. And I'm going to show you that they did not come over to America, the northern tribes. So let's look at something else here. Notice in this last verse where it says, and he carried them over the waters. Now, notice it didn't say, and he carried them over the seas. Now, there's a big difference. Now, we're going to go to Exodus here in a second, and you're going to see the word sea, even though waters are mentioned towards the end, but that water is, in its contents, is still part of that sea. So it's making a comparison. But here, when you read in 2nd Ezra 13:40, it says, and he carried them over the waters. And you're going to see which waters it's talking about when we get deeper into 2nd Ezra. So let's go to Exodus chapter 14:21. And it says, and Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and Elohim caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. Now, some people might see that like, see there, it says water. We got you. It says water, but you got to understand waters and its content. It's part of this large body of sea. And like I said before, when we read further in 2nd Ezra, you're going to see that the waters it was talking about in verse 40 was talking about the Euphrates. And we're going to get a little more deeper into the Euphrates because the Euphrates has a habit of drying up during certain seasons. And as a matter of fact, you can walk across certain parts of the Euphrates when it's dried up. Now, talking about the Red Sea is huge. Way bigger than Euphrates River. I mean, we're talking about a big, large, mass body of water here. Now, I don't know if you've ever flown over that area, but I flew over the Red Sea, and you can see it all the way up from a plane. I mean, that's how huge the Red Sea is. It's huge. And I mean, it ain't no little small creek. And the Red Sea don't just dry up like that. Let's go to Exodus 15:4. And it says, Pharaoh's chariots and his host hath he cast into the sea. His chosen captains also are drowned in the Red Sea. Now, Pharaoh had a lot of chariots, a lot of military, a lot of people. You have to have a really big sea to drown all those people in. So I just wanted to show you the comparison here, and you're going to see it even more when we get on the Euphrates River as well. So just hold that thought about the waters, because we're going to come back to that. So let's go to verse 41 through 42. Verse 41, 2nd Ezra. It says, but they took this counsel among themselves. In other words, our forefathers got together. It says, hey, we can't keep these laws in our land, so we don't want to be tangled up with these idols. It says that they would leave the multitudes of the heathens and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. Let me read that again. Where never mankind dwelt. Now, those fake chart pushers, what they love to say is that nobody was here in the Americas, North America or South America. That's what they'll tell you. They'll tell you that nobody was here, but I'm about to prove to you that that was a lie, and they are liars, because I'm going to show you from scriptures 2 accounts where the Most High overspread the earth with people, repopulated it, the whole earth. I'm not talking about part of the earth. I'm talking about the whole earth. Verse 42, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. Well, how come they couldn't keep their statutes in their own land? Because Assyria came and took them prisoners. That's why. So that's why they came together and counseled, so they can go into another country and keep their own statutes and laws. Now, keep in mind where it says never mankind dwelt, because the whole justification for this fake European chart is to say that nobody was dwelling in America or the Americas, North America or South America. So let's go to Genesis. Let's go to Genesis chapter 9 and verse 18. Now I want you to read this very carefully. Verse 18, because it's not coming from me, it's coming from the word of the Most High. And it says, and the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. Verse 19, these are the 3 sons of Noah. Get this, I want you to get this now. And of them was the whole, not some, the whole earth overspread. Now, how many years you think this was before the Assyrian Empire took our forefathers prisoners? This was before 3,000 years ago. So you mean to tell me that there was no one over here in the Americas prior to the Assyrian captivity? This verse alone right here would prove that fake chart a lie. There were people all over the world during this time, in the beginning, after the flood, because the Most High said he populated the whole earth. The Most High does not lie. So let's get another account. Let's go to Genesis 11, 7 through 8. It says, go to, let us go down. This is during the Tower of Babel. And there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. Verse 8. So Elohim scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth. Y'all hear that? Now, mind you, we just read the first account where the Most High scattered the people. That was after the flood, through the sons of Noah. About 1,000 years later, guess what? Same thing with the Tower of Babel. The people had become so wicked again. Now, mind you now, that the whole earth was already populated after the flood. Now here again, after the Tower of Babel, the Most High scattered these people again to all the 4 corners of the earth, or all the earth. So there you have it. That's to prove to you that there were people on this earth, on every continent of this world, from after the flood, and after the Most High scattered them from the Tower of Babel. All right, so now let's look at the end of verse 41 again, where it says, they went and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. Now, we just proved to you through the scriptures that there were people all over the world from 2 accounts. From the flood, from Noah's son, and from the Tower of Babel. Now, just because it says where never mankind dwelt, doesn't mean that a whole continent is empty. Now, there are places on this earth right now where never man has dwelt before. Certain places. And you can do the research on that. So you can't say that there was a whole continent that was unpopulated and that's where the northern tribes went to. That's a lie, brothers and sisters, and that's what they push to their followers. Now let's get a little more deeper, because this is where the rubber's going to meet the road. This is where it's going to really get deeper, and you're going to have even better understanding about this whole thing and where the northern tribes went to. Okay? So let's look at verse 43, and we're going to look at verse 44. And it says, and they entered into, see that? Euphrates, by the narrow places of the river. Now, brothers and sisters, remember when we read in verse 40, where it says, and he carried them over the waters. Now, there's your clue right there. Waters was the clue. Now, here's the answer. Because it's telling you these are the waters that our forefathers were carried over. I mean, the Bible is so simple. The words of the Most High is just so simple. You have to be literally just willingly ignorant to not want to know these things. And you just have to want to love these heathens so much that you want to ignore this and continue to live in a lie. Like pushing that chart. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. I can't stress that enough. Zion, narrow places of the river. It's telling you that the river, the part they cross, is not no large body of sea. It is not the ocean. They didn't come over here on no boats and ships. What do you see in this verse and anywhere in there that they built ships and just all of a sudden just took sail across the ocean? That's a lie. The word of the Most High is telling you what's going on right here. Let me read that one more time. Narrow places of the river, verse 44. For the Most High then showed signs for them. What is a sign? Think about it. Showed signs for them, and hell still the flood. Now, if these camps are pushing that the northern tribes came over here on the ocean, how in the world can the ocean flood? It's an ocean. An ocean cannot flood. It's a big mass body of water. How, you tell me, how is an ocean going to flood? That's impossible. And it says, then showed signs for them and held still the floods. Now I want you to do research on this, because I could have put the scriptures in here, but I didn't want to do that because I wanted you all to do the research yourself. So this is what I want you to do. If you got the Blue Letter Bible, whatever, coordinates, online coordinates, look up Euphrates rivers or type in drying up of the Euphrates. You're going to see plenty of verses where when the Most High was delivering his people, or Most High was angry at the other nations, he dried up the Euphrates. He dried up the Euphrates. And look at the pictures. Go online and look at some pictures of the Euphrates rivers. You're going to see that in some places it's so narrow and shallow that you can walk across it. You don't need no boats. You don't even need a canoe. You can walk straight across some parts of the Euphrates. All right, so let's finish and read that last part again, verse 44. For the Most High then shewed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. So there you have it. They did not come over on no doggone ocean, on boats, on ships. They crossed over the Euphrates. Now, where did they cross over into the Euphrates? Well, we're going to get a little further. We're going to get a little deeper into that. So let's go to verse 45. All right. It says, for through that country, it says through that country. What country is it talking about? The country they came out of. Through that country, there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. Now I'm going to start right here and explain something. Now remember, we read in verse 40 that the Assyrians came and took them prisoners from their own land. So that's what it means. It says, for through that country, there was a great way to go. Because see, they had to come from Assyria all the way to Jerusalem, take our forefathers captive, and then to continue and take them through across the Euphrates and all the way into Africa. Now, they didn't just stop in Egypt. They crossed all the way up until somewhere near Central Africa and even further. All right, so for through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. Now, here's the part where they love to say, well, the reason why they came across the ocean in ships to America because it took a year and a half. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. Now, if you take thousands, maybe millions of people, and you take them captive as a people, now you got to understand something. They got women, children, pregnant women, older men, older women, and they're going from their own land, our forefathers, across the Euphrates, all the way into Africa. Now, our family members had a history, our forefathers had a history of migrating. And you can do the research. But to migrate from their own land all the way across the Euphrates, all the way into Africa, that's not going to take overnight. It's not going to even take a month. It's going to take some time. A year and a half. Because think about it. You're going to stop. You're going to camp for weeks at a time. Refresh yourself. And then move on a little more. You're going to stop again. Set up camp. And just keep doing the same thing until you get to your location. Until you get to your destination. That's exactly what our forefathers did. When they went over into that, across the Euphrates and into Africa. Well, it wasn't called Africa during that time, but it was the whole Mesopotamia area, which was considered Arsareth. Arsareth is the whole part of Africa and the Middle East. What we call the Middle East now and part of Africa. That was the whole area of Arsareth, not America. Like these camps like to push. I'm going to prove something. I'm going to show you a book that they like to go to. So that's the problem. You know, these campers who push this fake European chart, they love to go to the heathen's book. Yeah, you talk about the heathen so much, but then all of a sudden you want to go to their books to try to justify you marrying foreign women. So I want you to check this out. So while we're on the subject of Arsareth, there's a book that these campers love to go to. It's called Christopher Columbus and the participation of the Jews in the Spanish and Portuguese discoveries. Now, they like to say that in this book that it mentions Arsareth as being America. But that's a lie. And you know what? A lot of them has been busted. They don't even use this book anymore because now they found out that it was a lie, that the word Arsareth is not even in the book. So let's look at the chapter. It's page 15. And I'm going to read it to you. It's underlined. And it says, he, Christopher Columbus, was also very fond of reading the Bible and the fourth book of Ezra. You hear that? The fourth book of Ezra, which was probably written by a Jew who lived outside of Palestine. Now, you can get that book and you can search all through that book. You're not going to find one word on Arsareth being America. So that's a lie. But yet, they'll tell you when it comes to trying to prove, when it comes to trying to justify this fake European chart, that's the first thing they run to is these books written by heathens because they cannot prove it from scriptures. It is a total lie. But yet, they still want to believe that, and they got their followers marrying these heathen women. And it's going to be just like it was in the last two books of Ezra. They're going to have to put away their foreign wives and their children that was born unto them. They're going to be destroyed. Now, before we read verse 46, I want to show you a clip. Now, this is an account of a camper who knew Leroy Bivens. Now, Leroy Bivens was the guy who started all this madness, and all these camps came out through that stuff. All this fake chart and everything. But towards the end, the guys, like, they knew that chart was not right. And he said that even Leroy Bivens was like, they know that because it was the hook. They know what that chart wasn't right, but it was the hook to bring them in. And you see what this 501c3 is all about. It's all about bringing these heathens in these camps so they can justify and they can get some earnings from it. So they can steal and rob from their people. No different from the Christian churches that are doing the same thing. But I want you to listen to this clip, and we're going to come right back.
Year after I saw Nasi Yaakov, Chief Counsel Daniel said, it's over, Israel Atik, you know? You guys should have learned enough already. I'm done. I'm getting ready to go on the road and preach. You see, he was serious. He would travel across the country, wherever, and just put up a flag and start talking. He said that's how powerful he was. But before that happened, he took me up to Harlem, and we met with Abba Bivens.
Okay, so you had an encounter with Abba Bivens.
Oh, yeah. Abba Bivens and Nasi Barak.
Oh, Nasi Barak was up there at that time.
Nasi Barak, he was going back and forth between Israel Atik and Tanakh School. Great experience. I went up there a couple times. One time we were over there and they had the charts up. And they had the charts. A great experience. I went up there a couple times. One time we were over there and they had the charts up. And they had the charts that said if you're Jamaican, you come from this tribe, and if you're from Barbados, it's that tribe, and boom, 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 boom. And read the book, said, hey, come on, Pop. What is, you know that ain't right. He said, of course, Danny, I know that's not right. And read the book, said, hey, come on, Pop. What is, you know that ain't right. He said, of course, Danny, I know that's not right. He said, but that's the hook. That's how we get them into place, and we wire them up to what's true. He said, but that's the hook. That's how we get them into place, and we wire them up to what's true. He said, but that's the hook. That's how we get them into place, and we wire them up to what's true. He said, but that's the hook. That's how we get them into place, and we wire them up to what's true. Well, you know, years later, after he passed away, and his sons and all of them, they either died or moved away, the Tanakh School began to teach those things as truth. This is the truth. The Tanakh School began to teach those things as truth. This is the truth, you know, and, well... Great experience. I went up there a couple times. One time we were over there and they had the charts up. And they had the charts that said if you're Jamaican, you come from this tribe, and if you're from Barbados, it's that tribe, and boom, 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 boom. And read the book, said, hey, come on, Pop. What is, you know that ain't right. He said, of course, Danny, I know that's not right. He said, but that's the hook. That's how we get them into place, and we wire them up to what's true. Great experience. I went up there a couple times. And one time we were over there and they had the charts up. And they had the charts that said if you're Jamaican, you come from this tribe, and if you're from Barbados, it's that tribe, and boom, 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 boom. And read the book, said, hey, come on, Pop. What is, you know that ain't right. He said, of course, Danny, I know that's not right. He said, but that's the hook. That's how we get them into place, and we wire them up to what's true.
Correctly and ask anybody. I was there back then with the heads and all that. And I sat down with them and asked. We out like we always do, out getting stuff for the school. I'm out with Mo, Aria. I think Lahab was there, a couple of others. And I asked Aria about it. And I said, Aria, how did the 12 tribes come about? They proceeded to go into the story. Okay, about Aria. First of all, Aria used to work construction as a young man. And like I brought out in that documentary the brothers was making, he fell down an elevator shaft, 3-story, broke both his legs, was in traction, got in a wheelchair for 3 years. Aria rode around, the doctor said he would never walk again. He rode around in a wheelchair for 3 years. And so naturally he couldn't go to camp, couldn't do a ton of things, couldn't even get up the stairs in the school. So he spent a ton of that time at home, and he started to study the records and the history. Aria was a young man, 18, 19, you know, like young men do, work construction, do different jobs. Bivens was over the school. Aria was one of the ones coming up in the school. When he got the vision, of course, he brought it to Bivens. Bivens knew the vision was right, and of course, being the head of the school, Bivens brought it out to everybody. Just like I'm the head of the school. Brothers bring me stuff all the time, and I bring it out. It don't mean I'm the one that created it, or I'm the one that came up with it. So Bivens did not come up with it. Aria is the one through the vision of the Lord. Now listen, you can say what you want. Aria got the vision.
All right, Zion. You heard it with your own ears and seen it with your own eyes. It's a very dangerous thing to give your heritage away to strangers. It is an abomination. We can't go around doing that. But what do? Will we ever learn from our forefathers? I guess not, because we keep doing the same thing, repeating the same thing. Let's go to Baruch, chapter 4, verse 3. And let's see what it says. It says, give not thine honor to another. Y'all hear that? Give not thine honor to another, nor the things that are profitable unto thee to a strange nation. You see what's going on here? And it's clear. The scriptures are super clear. Let's get another one. Let's go to Lamentations 5. Chapter 5 and verse 2. It says, our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens. This is what our forefathers did. The same thing that they're doing today. These camps who are pushing this European chart. Now I want to focus on verse 46, because verse 46 is going to be key to understand what really happened with the northern tribes, the 10 tribes. Because see, the camps who are pushing this European chart, they stop at verse 46. They don't go no further than this. You would never hear them go further than this. Because see, if they go further than this, then that lie is revealed. That lie that supports that European chart, it is revealed. Because we're going to see that in the next few verses, it's going to tell us what actually happened to the 10 tribes, that they came back across the Euphrates. But let's look at this right quick. Verse 46. It says, then dwelt they there until the latter time. Now, where were they dwelling at? Remember, they crossed over the Euphrates. Now it's saying that then dwelt they there until the latter time. So let's find out when this latter time is. And it says, and now when they shall begin to come. Who's going to begin to come? You got to think, brothers and sisters, the ones who had crossed over the Euphrates in the first place are going to be coming back over. So in other words, the Assyrians took our forefathers out of their own land, took them across the Euphrates, the narrow places of the river, and crossed over into Africa, where a lot of our people still remain unto this very day. Then when we read in verse 46, it says, then dwelt they there until the latter time. And now when they shall begin to come, because see, many of the 10 tribes came back. A lot of our forefathers from the 10 tribes came back across. Because I want you to watch this next verse, because it's going to explain clearly, and you're going to see why a lot of these camps don't read past verse 46, because it tells you. I mean, saints, the scriptures tell you what's going on. See, the scriptures need no interpretation. The scriptures can interpret itself. You know, it's man, we come along and we want to put everything in there and add our own stuff in there and make it fit our lust. But it ain't happening. So look at verse 47. Now here's the key. Now, when you get time, you can go back through the lesson and just go back through the verses again. But please pay attention to this, because this is important. Verse 47. It says the highest. Who is it talking about the highest? It's talking about the Most High Yah. It says the highest shall stay the springs of the stream again. Now, why would he say again? Because they crossed over the first time, right? So why would they be coming back? It's going to explain that. So again, the highest shall stay the springs of the stream again. So in other words, hold back the floods, either or dry it up. Now, like I said earlier, I want y'all to do a study on the drying up of the Euphrates, because this is exactly what this is talking about. So the highest shall stay the springs of the springs of the stream again, that they may what? Go through. You hear that? That they may go through. So that means that you have a lot of our forefathers that were part of that 10 tribes that went over the Euphrates in the first place into Africa. Now they're coming. It's going to be a time where they're going to come back. They're going to come back. And it says, therefore, sowest thou the multitude with peace. Verse 48. And it says, but those that be left behind where? See, there's your answer right here, because it's telling you that there are those who are left behind from the 10 tribes who did not come back over the Euphrates again, back into the land. All right. So verse 48, but those that be left behind of thy people are they that are found within my border. What is it talking about when it says within my border? It's talking about our homeland, Israel. Okay, because that's where they came from. That's where our forefathers came from in the first place, when Assyria took them captive to carry them over across the Euphrates into Africa. Okay, but now you have a lot of our forefathers who are coming back. And so now, fast forward today, you still have a lot of the 10 tribes that are scattered out throughout Africa and all through the Middle East and the Mediterranean. Now, of course, we're scattered all over the world, but we're talking about the northern tribes here. And I'm going to show you some more verses explaining that a little more too. So, but just bear with me. And I'm going to reference Hosea and I'm going to wait till I get a little further, because it's important that you read the whole book of Hosea. All right, because that's where the Most High gave the northern tribe a bill of divorcement for worshiping idols. You know, it says, Ephraim is joined to her idols, leave her alone. And I'll explain that a little more as we go further up. But I just want you to get this key point here, that a lot of our forefathers actually came back across the Euphrates because the Most High held the springs again. This is twice. He held the floods the first time when they crossed over, and then again he held the springs or the floods, or dried up the river. So twice, all right? And you guys do a study on the drying up of the Euphrates. All right, so before we go to verse 49 and 50, I want to go back right quick to verse 41 because I want to touch on something that I almost forgot to touch on in the beginning. So remember we talked about they went into a country where never mankind dwelt. So I want to prove to you that there were places in Africa where no man dwelt, because I covered that earlier. You know, there were places all over the continent that no man dwelt. You know, but there were people all over the earth, but there were certain places that were still desolate. So let's go to Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 6. I'm going to give you a precept to this verse right here where it says, never mankind dwelt. So let me read verse 41 right quick. It says, but they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. Now, we already proved from the scriptures that was across the Euphrates and into Africa. But let me give you a precept because it also states that there are places, other places where no man dwelt. And we're talking about Africa. So let's go to Jeremiah 2:6. It says, neither said they, where is Elohim that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, that led us through the wilderness, through a land of deserts and of pits, through a land of drought and of the shadow of death, through a land, get this, saints, that no man passeth through. Now watch this. And where no man dwelt. Now we know that there were people in Egypt, okay? We know that there were people spread out all through Africa, but there were certain places that man just didn't dwell. All right? I mean, this is just common sense. Even a child can understand this, brothers and sisters. You know, and you would have to fight against the Spirit of the Most High to just be this ignorant. So I just wanted to share that with you. So you guys can go back and read that when you get a chance. So let's go ahead and move on. All right, so let's jump up some verses. Let's go to 49 and verse 50. So now it says, now when he destroyeth, it's talking about the Most High Yah. Now when he destroyeth the multitude of the nations, get it, nations that are gathered together, he shall defend. Get that word. This is why I highlight and underline these keywords for a reason. It says he shall defend his people that remain. Now has the Most High defended his people that remain yet? That's talking about his second coming. He's going to be coming back. So that means that you have a lot of the 10 tribes that are still over in that part of the region, Africa, the Middle East. Because remember, a lot of them came back across the Euphrates. So that means that our people are scattered out throughout the northern tribes, at least the most of them, are scattered out throughout Africa, the Middle East, and the Mediterranean. All right? Now, I'm not saying that there are no northern tribes over here, okay? But according to the scriptures, for the most part, it's safe to say that according to the scriptures, majority of the northern tribes are spread out throughout Africa and over in the Middle East. Now, when Paul and the apostle were on the scene, that's who they were ministering to. They were ministering to these 10 northern tribes that were scattered out. Now, if you look the places that Paul went to, he knew where the northern scattered tribes were. He knew exactly where they were. And that's why he traveled. Them and apostles traveled a lot to the different places. Verse 50. And then it says, and then shall he show them great wonders. Now I'm going to show you and prove to you that the Most High is going to gather the rest of our people that remain from the northern tribes that scattered out throughout Africa, the Middle East, and the Mediterranean. We're going to go to Isaiah, and you're going to see clearly, and it's going to make a lot of sense because Isaiah is the precept to this, what I'm getting ready to show you here. All right, so let's go ahead and jump over to Isaiah chapter 11, and we're going to start reading with verse 11. And it says, and it shall come to pass in that day that Elohim shall set his hand again the second time. What does it mean when it says the second time? It's talking about in the Most High Yah's visitation, when he comes back a second time. When did he recover him the first time? Remember, when they crossed over the Euphrates, and we talked about in Ezra, the Most High stayed to spring again so they can cross back over. So he recovered them. Now, the second time, because they still remain over there, a lot of our northern tribes, our brothers and sisters still remain spread out throughout Africa, Middle East, and the Mediterranean islands. So now the second time, the Most High is going to recover his people from those regions, and it's going to show you in the next verse exactly where they're going to be recovered from. All right, so let's continue. It says that Elohim shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people. Y'all hear that? The remnant. Because there are people who still, his people still remain over there from the northern tribes. All right. And it says, and here's proof, which shall be left from what? Assyria. Now, remember we read in 2nd Ezra 13 that Assyria came, and these were the 10 tribes that Assyria took across the waters, which was the Euphrates, in the narrow places of the Euphrates. And then it says, and from Egypt, and from, let me back up right quick. Let me just start that over right quick, all right? So, I'm going to read it, I'm going to start back all over again. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that Elohim shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. Now, you can go do a research on the current locations of this place, and you're going to learn that these places are Africa, throughout the Middle East, and the Mediterranean. The word of the Most High is so clear, does not lie. It's just so simple. And you would have to be the biggest dummy to justify the northern tribes coming over here to America. There is no proof. There is absolutely no record of that. And just because they found Hebrew artifacts throughout the world, or throughout the United States, well, hell, there were Hebrew artifacts all over the world that was discovered. That doesn't make those people in those regions Israelites, even though we have Negroes scattered to the four corners of the earth. You know, our forefathers traveled during King David's time, during King Solomon's time. Our people traveled all over the world. So, of course, they built things. They built pyramids all over the place. So, of course, you're going to find Hebrew artifacts all over the world. And just because they found Hebrew artifacts over here in America don't mean the northern tribes came over here in ships. Now, it's specific. When you read Deuteronomy 28:68, it specifically says ships. They came over on ships again. You don't see that in 2nd Ezra. The Bible is clear. It made it clear that they crossed over the Euphrates. They crossed over the Euphrates River in the narrow places into Africa. And then later on in time, a lot of our forefathers from the northern tribes came back across the Euphrates because the Most High held the springs again. The verses that some of these camps refuse to read because they know that chart is a complete lie. Now let's go to the next verse. Verse 12. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, the gathering, and shall assemble the outcast. Now this is very key. All right, Zion, I want you to pay attention to this because he's going to tell you who the outcasts are. And I'm going to tell you where to go where you can get a better understanding of that. And shall assemble the outcast of Israel. Now, the outcast of Israel were the northern tribes. To get a better understanding of that, you got to read the whole book of Hosea because the northern tribes were given a bill of divorcement for their idolatry, worshiping idols. And Judah calls them to worship idols from the split. And I'm gonna prove that to you as well. And it says, and gather together the dispersed of Judah. So here we got the outcast of Israel, and we got the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So we know that the tribes of Judah, the southern tribe, are spread out through the four corners of the earth. Now, the outcast of Israel is also spread out, but they're mainly concentrated in the areas where we just read in Isaiah 11:11. You got to get that is key to understand that. Now, I'm not saying that there are no northern tribes over here in America and anywhere else. I'm just saying, according to scriptures, the majority of the northern tribes are spread out through those regions. You cannot argue with scriptures, all right? But we definitely know that the dispersed of Judah, the southern tribes, will be gathered from the four corners of the earth. I mean, it is super clear. I mean, you can go back and reread this for yourself. Go back over the scriptures. It's going to tell you so clearly. And there should, by now, there shouldn't be any doubt in your mind as to where the northern tribes went to and where the northern tribes are still today. All right, the scriptures are very clear, and we just read over that. Now, getting back to the outcast of Israel, these were the ones, the northern tribes, who were given a bill of divorcement spoken of as in Hosea. So make sure you read the whole book. And no, Hosea 7 doesn't mean a cake unturned does not mean lighter skin. It has nothing to do with lighter skin. But you know, some of these camps, they like to use that as a tool to say that these Puerto Ricans, these European Puerto Ricans, are Israelites. I mean, you got to be a big dummy to believe something like that. But these were the same tribes who were later grafted in during the apostles' time. These were the so-called considered as Gentiles. You know, the Most High, once he gives you a bill of divorcement, that's it. You're a heathen. You're a Gentile, and that's been proven through scriptures. So let's go to verse 13, Isaiah chapter 11, and it says, "The envy also of Ephraim shall depart." Now, why did Ephraim envy Judah? You're going to see why here. I'm going to show you why, exactly why Ephraim envied Judah. And it says, "And the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim." Okay, so what did the southern tribe do to the northern tribe? The southern tribes caused the northern tribes to worship idols. Now, get this. Because the northern tribes were cut off in Hosea, the northern tribe envied that because the southern tribes were not cut off. They still remain in the time of Hamashiach, in the time of apostles. And so the southern tribes were the ones who were ministering to the outcast of Israel, which were the northern tribes. And so because of Judah causing Ephraim to worship idols, they envied them. And then it goes on to say, "And Judah shall not vex Ephraim." Well, what does that mean? What does it mean to vex? Well, Judah caused Ephraim to worship idols. They pretty much got them kicked out of the Most High's grace, following after idols. But you got some of these camps that use that to say, oh, you know, you hate your brother. These people are not our brothers. These European Mexicans and Puerto Ricans, Hispanics, they are not our brothers and sisters. And these leaders know that. I already showed you the clip where the guy who knew Leroy Bivens admitted that that chart was false. That's where it came from. It came from them. I mean, this stuff is crazy. And you see, it all boils down to that 501c3, because with that 501c3, you cannot discriminate. Yeah, you get tax benefits and all that stuff, but you cannot discriminate. A white person who they call Edomites can walk up in there and actually file a lawsuit. And you know what? Those heathens would win. They would really win the case. And they can sue people like IUIC and some of these other camps who are pushing this 501c3 and who's pushing this European chart. They can actually sue them. But, you know, no one's caught on yet. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. It is bound to happen. And they set themselves up for big time failure. So I'm just telling you off the bat, you know, and the people who came up with this, these Hebrews who wanted these women in their camps and lusting after their women and all that kind of stuff, they came up with this stuff, this 501c3. Well, they didn't come up with the 501c3. It was already there. It was invented by the heathens, but they used it to bring in foreign women. That was the whole purpose behind it. So, and you know what? And a lot of our sincere brothers and sisters in these camps, they are waking up like crazy. I'm telling you. And a lot of them are coming out these camps. They are. I mean, it's unbelievable. And you know, from what I understand is that these leaders, they're panicking, and they know the truth. They know that their butts are getting ready to be revealed. They know everything they did to lie to their followers is getting ready to come to the head. It is coming to a head, because sooner or later, and I'm telling you, mark my words on this, Zion, sooner or later, these leaders of these camps that have been pushing this European chart and lying to their followers are going to have to one day return back to their own vomit. Because see, I'm going to tell you the reason why they haven't told their members, their followers, the truth yet. Because they gotten so far deep into this thing, they making money. They are making money off this stuff. And now that these Hebrews have married these heathen women and had children by them, and these children are up in age, you know, and now they started something that they shouldn't have never started, and they're going to regret it. I'm telling you, they're going to regret it. You don't play with the Most High like that. You don't use the truth of the Most High to use it for your own personal gain and your own personal lust. That's a no-go. All right, so let's go to another account where it talks about the two tribes coming together, the southern tribes and the northern tribes. So let's go to Ezekiel 37:22. And you guys can just go back and read that whole chapter, the very beginning of it too, and it give you even more understanding. So let's start with verse 22. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be, get this Zion, no more two nations. Well, why were there two nations in the first place? It's because Solomon's son and grandson caused a split in the kingdom. It says, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. So in other words, brothers and sisters, when the Most High comes back, we're scattered right now. We're going to be joined together, and we're never going to depart again. We're never going to be two nations. We're not going to be no southern tribes or no northern tribes. We're going to be 12 tribes brought together in the bosom of the Most High Yah. It's not going to be no more of this idol stuff. It's not going to be going back to no man worship again. It's not going to be none of that. We're not going back to that same stuff. We're not going to make the same mistakes that our forefathers made in the past. Now, this is the part I love right here. So let's go to the next verse. Let's go to verse 23. It says, neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols. With their idols. It's talking about both Judah and Ephraim. All right. Neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places. Remember, the Most High is going to gather the outcasts of Israel from the areas that we mentioned throughout Africa, the Middle East, and the Mediterranean islands. And the dispersed of Judah are going to be gathered from the four corners of the earth. All right. It says, but I will save them out of all their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and I will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their Elohim. All right. Simple. And this is what's happening. This is what we're seeing right now. And a lot of our people scattered to the four corners of the earth are coming together, not physically, but we're coming together in spirit and truth. And that's important because the Bible says that we must worship him in spirit and in truth. The final step is that the Most High is going to gather us physically whenever he comes back. All right. And that's going to be the great Jubilee, when the Most High comes back and delivers his people and gathers us up from the four corners of the earth to take us back into our land. And we know that these sequences that are happening right now, all these moving pieces are coming together. Now, the Antichrist is already on the scene. It's just a matter of him being revealed. And that's going to happen soon. I'm telling you, a lot of this stuff is going to just happen rapidly. I'm telling rapidly. And we're already seeing a lot of stuff going on right now. And the quicker we come together, the quicker we get back to these laws, commandments, and statutes, you know what? We're going to see things happen even faster. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and leave you with Revelation 14:12. And I pray, brothers and sisters, that you were edified in this. But just go back through the lesson if there was something you didn't understand. And so let's go ahead and read Revelation 14:12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Elohim and the faith of Hamashiach. And brothers and sisters, and I want to say this too. Now, I love intermingling with you all with the comments and everything, but I'm not always able to catch all the comments. So this is where I need your help. I really need your help in helping me to answer our brothers and sisters. Because like I said, I may not catch everything. And some of you out there already know just as much or more scriptures than I do. So you can easily help your brothers and your sisters by answering their questions and what have you. So, but I really appreciate that, brothers and sisters. It's been an honor to serve my Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters scattered to the four corners of the earth. And I say shalom and stay strong.